In the shadow of the Third Reich, a man ruled with an iron heart. Reinhard Heydrich, feared by millions, had become the embodiment of terror in occupied Czechoslovakia. Every street, every home, every citizen was under his gaze. Surveillance, arrests, deportations, they were the order of the day. But in the darkness, hope flickered. A small group of men, trained in secrecy and courage, would risk everything to strike the heart of tyranny. This is the story of Operation Anthropoid, the daring assassination that shook the Nazi regime and changed the course of history.
Reinhard Heydrich was more than a soldier. He was a force of calculated terror. Born in 1904 in Halle, Germany, he rose rapidly through the ranks of the SS. His intelligence, ruthlessness, and precision earned him the nickname the Man with the Iron Heart. By 1941, he had become Deputy Reich Protector of Bohemia and Moravia. Under his rule, Prague became a city of fear. Gestapo officers patrolled the streets. Arrests were swift, executions even swifter. Families vanished overnight, leaving empty homes and broken lives. Resistance seemed impossible, yet even in the darkest shadows, courage began to grow. Allied intelligence recognized that eliminating Heydrich could destabilize Nazi control and provide a critical victory for the resistance. But killing a man guarded by the SS, traveling in armored vehicles, surrounded by loyal soldiers, was no small task.
From London, the Czechoslovak government in exile coordinated with the British Special Operations Executive. Two men were chosen for this impossible mission, Jozef Gabčík and Jan Kubiš. They trained in secret, learning parachuting, covert movement, firearms, explosives, and survival in hostile territory. Every day tested their limits. Hunger, fatigue, and the constant threat of discovery were relentless companions. The mission required more than skill. It demanded courage, precision, and an unbreakable resolve. They studied Prague's streets, memorized Heydrich's routines, and rehearsed every possible scenario. One mistake could mean death, not only for themselves, but for thousands of innocent lives.
On the night of December 28, 1941, Gabčík and Kubiš parachuted into Nazi-occupied Czechoslovakia. The cold of the Bohemian forests bit at their skin. For months they evaded patrols, hid in attics, sewers, and abandoned houses, and prepared for the day they would face the most dangerous man in Europe. Every day was a test of patience. Heydrich's routine was predictable, but lethal. Armored cars, guards at every turn, sniper patrols, the city was a labyrinth of danger. The men became ghosts, unseen yet everywhere, blending into the shadows as the city slept under the grip of fear. Every morning, Heydrich's black Mercedes would speed along a predictable route to Prague Castle. The curve in the road near the village of Líban offered a rare vulnerability. Here, the car had to slow. Gabčík and Kubiš studied this path for weeks, noting every guard, every street lamp, every corner. They visualized every step, rehearsing escape routes, imagining gunfire, explosions, chaos. On May 27, 1942, the day arrived. Gabčík waited at the bend, submachine gun hidden beneath his coat. As Heydrich's car appeared, he raised his weapon. It jammed. Time froze. Every second felt like an eternity. The life of Europe's most feared man hung in the balance. Kubiš acted without hesitation. From behind, he hurled an anti-tank grenade at the vehicle. The explosion tore through the street, metal and glass shattering. Heydrich screamed, clutching his side. Blood streamed down his face, mixing with dust and snow. Guards scrambled, gunfire erupted, and the two men vanished into the shadows. Their strike was precise, desperate, and terrifyingly courageous. Heydrich, the man who had orchestrated terror across Europe, was mortally wounded.
The Nazi response was immediate and brutal. Martial law swept across the Protectorate. Villages were surrounded. Hundreds, then thousands, were arrested. People lived in fear, afraid of being accused of harboring the assassins. Gabčík and Kubiš moved like ghosts through Prague. They used hidden passages, climbed through attics, ducked into sewers, and relied on locals brave enough to risk everything to hide them. Every sound, every shadow, every patrol could mean death. The men were constantly alert, their nerves stretched to breaking point. Days turned into nights of tension and exhaustion. They witnessed the harsh retaliation of the Nazis, public executions, families torn apart, homes burned. Yet even in terror, the spirit of resistance endured. Stories of their courage spread quietly among the populace, inspiring hope. The city became a chessboard, each step, each turn calculated. The assassins were hunted, yet invisible. Their presence haunted the occupiers. Eventually, betrayal and circumstance cornered them in the church of Saints Cyril and Methodius in Prague. The church became a fortress. Windows were barricaded, every entrance guarded. German forces surrounded the building. Tanks and soldiers prepared for battle waited outside. Inside, Gabčík and Kubiš prepared their last stand. They loaded weapons, checked ammunition, and exchanged glances, silent communication, unspoken resolve. Bullets tore through walls and glass. Smoke filled the air. The sound of gunfire reverberated through the high ceilings, yet the men refused to surrender. Every heartbeat was a declaration of defiance. Every shot returned, a message: courage could not be extinguished. Hours passed. Exhaustion set in. Pain and blood stained the floor. Finally, the end came. They took their own lives to avoid capture, leaving behind a legend of bravery and sacrifice. Heydrich succumbed to his wounds on June 4, 1942. The Nazi regime responded with unprecedented terror. The village of Lidice was razed, its men executed, women sent to concentration camps, children murdered or deported. Yet, despite these atrocities, the operation achieved its purpose. The leadership of the Nazis was shaken, morale wavered, resistance movements across Europe gained momentum, inspired by the audacity and skill of two men who dared to defy an empire. Gabčík and Kubiš had paid the ultimate price. Their names were etched into history, remembered not for fame, but for courage. Operation Anthropoid demonstrated a timeless truth. The course of history often rests not on armies or empires, but on the resolve of a few brave individuals. The assassination of Reinhard Heydrich remains one of the most daring acts of resistance in modern history, a story of precision, courage, sacrifice, and the unyielding fight for freedom.